Today, we are going to meet up with another friend of mine, and he's going to tell us how he sold $600,000 in 3 months. Let's go. So, Cody, how did your business make 600 grand in 3 months?
So essentially that was all from closes in my landscaping business that actually totaled around 600 grand. And essentially what I needed to do to get to a point where I could actually even deliver that amount of closes is I had to organize the hell out of everything. I'm an extremely organized person. I want everything to be as efficient as possible. So I put in I wouldn't say all sorts of systems, but just particular systems to just keep track of things and be able to know exactly where everything is every single day down to the hour, essentially.
Wow, that's amazing. So you just implemented these specific things and that was able to push your stats up tremendously.
Yeah, so really all of my experience just compounded, and once I really realized that I was just slacking in certain areas, I know this is a problem and not doing anything about it. I know this is a problem, I'm not doing anything about it. I know this coworker isn't helping me in this way, not gonna do anything about it. So I think a lot of people sit there on their 9 to 5s every day and they kind of have a viewpoint where this is happening, it's just never gonna stop happening, and I just don't really want to mess with it, and I'd rather go home and watch TV. I had a viewpoint like that for a while until I just realized I need to just knock this off. I would like to make a lot of money. I would like to make a lot of money for the company. And so I just started putting in systems that would almost automatically control each individual client or situation. Not like bad controlling somebody in like a bad way, but just so I know what's going on with each individual thing. So they go on to the next thing and through the process all the way to a completed project. And the 600,000 was probably a total of, I'd say 12 or 13 individual clients. You kind of think of landscaping and it's like just some guys in a truck running around mowing lawns and kind of not really doing a very good job a lot of the time. All I get is, at least as far as the maintenance side is concerned, all I get is complaints from clients. The full renovation and installation is kind of an area that hasn't really been tackled very proficiently in LA. Of course, problems with general contractors all over the planet probably, but in Los Angeles maybe even in particular, all I hear is nightmare stories all day, right? So you obviously want to make sure you have a good crew that isn't going to mess with things in the first place.
That's probably would help, yes.
Yeah. So those are anywhere from 25 to 65 to $100,000 clients, just doing medium to large scale jobs. I mean, I've even done projects that are upwards of 200 grand all in.
How many hours a week do you work?
I only work right now actually about anywhere from like 15 to maybe 22 hours, probably around like 20 hours
15
average.
to 22 hours a week.
Yeah. So I take about 10% on any close, and I see anywhere from like 4 to 6 clients a week, which is, at old company, when I was kind of in this whole kind of mindset where I just wasn't really controlling things properly and not really handling each person properly and with utmost care, I would see almost sometimes like 18 people in a week. So like just killing myself for no reason. Now we have this whole system set up with this new company I'm with where you literally have to go to our website and fill out like a 16 question in order to even get an appointment. Like that is our receptionist. There's no, we have somebody who just picks up the phone and says, please go fill out our form. Bye, not in a bad way. Go check out our form. So we're qualifying the lead, and people appreciate the heck out of it. I get very little complaints. People I get complaints about are people I don't want. Some people will go halfway down the form. This is a lot of questions. I don't like this. And then they finish the form anyways. Yeah. So we have this huge thing. That's our receptionist, right? And then I get an email with that form right when that's done, straight to me. We actually kind of skipped the whole reception thing. It goes straight to the salesperson. I'm the only salesperson in the company. I'll train more if and when we need more, but I can handle a lot, especially when I'm not getting thousands of leads because not that many people want to go through the whole process. But when they get through the process and they notice how cool it is, all of the professional buyers and all those guys, they love that stuff. And at the end of the form, they're like, wow, thank you so much. That's just one part of how I've...
That's amazing because a lot of people say it's quantity over quality. But in your industry, specifically landscaping, it's quality.
Well, we're dealing with more money here too, right? If this was like a landscape maintenance team, that's different because most people will pay a couple $100s a month to have some really good guys going around trimming their stuff. At some point, we'll probably tackle the maintenance industry because it's hilarious that everybody in all of Los Angeles needs it. How many people have you said, oh, I love my gardener? That's kind of bashing, that's kind of general, but it's that's all I hear all day is they just come in, they mow and blow some stuff, it's going to do something, they might not necessarily do it, right? I'm much more focused on $100,000 projects, plus giving my guys a lot to work with and just creating these cool landscapes.
Yeah, that's amazing. So the lead comes in,
Yeah.
qualify the lead, they fill out that long form, it goes to you, and then you set up the appointment.
Yeah,
and
so
then you go visit the location, and then you would close them, so to speak, on the
So
service that they choose.
Yeah, so I can even go through the process a little bit. So once they finish it, email goes to me, I read the form, they'll fully filled out. Some people like fill out every single question with like a paragraph, but that's fine. You wrote more than I did on the form, wow, good job. And I love it when people are that interested. So I'll go through the whole form, there's like a budget question there, you know, half the people are gonna say, I don't know what the budget is, because sometimes it's so rough to calculate. So I just text the client from there, because it's actually best to get in text communication after that, just because I need to get photos anyway. So I'm not just gonna call somebody and be like, please send me photos. Hang up.
Right.
Like, hey, this is Cody, fill out the form, really great. And then I ask them for like some photos of the area, and if they have any designs, then I have them send me over a design. And sometimes I can give them even a ballpark price via the design. I'm always gonna overestimate slightly just to test the waters and see how crazy the cost is to them. So I don't want to waste my time, and I especially don't want to waste the client's time on setting up an assessment and then I'm like blowing them out of the water with some ridiculous price that they just had no idea that that's what something for a professional would cost. We're actually very competitive with other people who are good in the industry. People who are doing it properly are all kind of going to be around a similar cost. With the amount of effort and proficiency we put into our process, I'd say that's a deal in a lot of cases. I do consider that we are the best in Los Angeles. And I'll imagine and design all I want, and then it comes out even better than I thought it would every single time. It's kind of wild, actually. My guys are really good.
That's amazing. So what are your tactics, or what do you do to close a deal? Because I feel like it's very simple, very blunt.
Yeah.
You know, you maintain the authority in the space. You have a lot of experience in the landscaping space, but walk me through a close.
Yeah, so essentially almost everything I do comes down to just being efficient and organized with everything. So there's the whole part that's just going to be the natural thing on site. How well am I going to get along with the client? I get along with even the most shut off people who I took an appointment with, a little bit unsure about it. I go in there, I talk to them for a little while. Even by the end of an appointment, we're like friends. And all that comes down to is like, again, like the kind of the trust and honest aspect. When you're just so bluntly honest and you're not obviously trying to do some weird maneuver or saying, yeah, no problem, that's okay. Just kind of skipping over things and being ignorant. No, it's like we tackle every single little item and every single little space and get an agreement about every single thing. And that's something that I feel like nobody does. But really, it's like you just get really thorough, you get really organized, and you service people very quickly and efficient. All I hear about in this space is that they've gotten other quotes from other people. Like, oh, how do you get any other quotes? They say, yeah, I mean, this guy came over like 2 weeks ago. He said he'd get me something by yesterday. So I hear that every single day, and it just drives me crazy. So I'm like, well, I'm gonna get you a quote today, later today. How does that sound? They're like, yes, oh my God. So I get people quotes the same day or very next day. I'll get you something later today or tomorrow at the very latest. It's always the same day almost. I'm just very quick. And part of this systems thing I'm kind of talking about is, you know, with my old companies and even with this company for a little bit, I was sending quotes through our CRM, which was this very intricate thing. You got to put in different paragraphs in the different areas, and it's got to be all specific and stuff. I was sending a finalized quote to every single client, especially at my last company I was working at. And it took hours to do this, like hours. I'd go and see way too many people too. So I was sending all these quotes to all these people. I'd be there till 10 p.m. every night sending all these quotes, and that got me experience, right? Not closes. So I'm just seeing 1,000 people who aren't qualified for my work. This can be more casual. It doesn't have to be such a finalized thing right off the bat. Our meeting is very casual and it's just honest and straightforward, and we're having a good time, and I'm not like stuck up and like very like conservative in my appearance and stuff. It's just like back and let's hang out and let's talk. And then we get into, my quote is just gonna be an email. So I get very specific. I don't leave anything out. I don't get lazy on it or anything. This isn't a laziness thing. This is a thing where it's like, here's the data from the day, here's the cost. What do you wanna do with that cost? Do you wanna take things out? Do you want to add to it? What do you want to do? It's just like a test thing, right? It's not like, here is your finalized quote. Please sign on the line. Because it's like, no, they're not closed yet. How does this look to you? Is this presentation nice to you? Do you want me to move anything around? No, we're perfect. Good. Or you move stuff around, or you get in a phone call, or whatever. I think that finalized quote thing is really kind of a waste of time a lot of the time, because it usually takes longer to write up, and it's just like not as human, you know? It's just like, here are all the information. And a lot of people just get scared when it's like, there's a signature at the bottom, oh God, and then they run away. It's like, no, you know, and then especially when the price is way more than they assumed it was going to be, and now they're just kind of scared to negotiate because they're like, oh, and he was really adamant that it should be this scope and this $50,000, but I only have 20. It just scares people off. So being very quick and efficient, any advice I would give anybody in the area is get experience first. That's still the biggest part of this whole thing. If you're not willing to learn or help people or get people to understand or create good products for people, if you're not willing to go out of your way to do that, you shouldn't be in sales in any respect. You're just going to waste your time. You're not going to make anything. If you're willing to approach it and tackle it, and you're willing to help and create, get a lot of experience, understand everything about it. Because at the point where you understand everything about something, or most things about something, you now can evaluate what is best for them. Tell them honestly what is best for them. And that's not even to say my idea is better than theirs or something, right? They might have great ideas. But you can tell them from your opinion what is best and figure out some semblance of middle ground with the client and go with their ideas on anything that's good. That's just how it works. It's just being straight up.
Amazing. So you've made a lot of money. I mean, 600 grand for your company in 3 months is very impressive.
Yeah.
What is your sales approach? This is obviously high ticket sales.
Yep. So essentially, kind of like the next step, when we actually schedule an assessment, I make sure that we're on the same, at least a similar page cost-wise with the client, or they're so local that I'm like, oh, I'll go see them and see if we can figure something out anyways. But, my approach would be, I don't have sales rules. I don't follow necessarily just broad generalizing rules that a lot of like big entrepreneurs will talk about, right? Call them until they explode. Or I don't really believe in kind of jargon like that. I think every single client is going to be very different. I think really all sales actually comes down to is you have to have experience in what you're doing and what you're selling, right? If you don't have experience, you don't know why things work. You don't know why somebody would want something or why somebody wouldn't, or why everyone would want something or why everybody shouldn't want that particular thing, right? So if you don't know all that and you haven't had the experience to understand what you're doing and to understand if you have the best service or product, if you don't really believe in your product, you're not going to do very well. You're not going to do well at sales. You're just going to be kind of slumping around and just kind of doing your day-to-day and whatever. So essentially, I naturally walk into an assessment. I've already kind of gotten in communication a little bit earlier than the assessment, which with texts or calls or whatever, right? I guess that would be a part, something that I do regularly, right? Is getting in touch with somebody before you meet with them, being very kind and open with them, right? Because even through my whole qualifying process, it sounds like I'm just telling people like to go away all the time. I don't like your stuff, go away, you're not have enough budget. No, like I treat anybody who goes through my form and stuff, I treat like royalty. This is like the item client, that's who I'm gonna treat well. I treat these people well from the get. Then I go to their house and I talk to them about their projects, and from my experience, what I know is going to be best for them. And I'm gonna tell them bluntly and very honestly what I think and know is the best for their scenario. And some people will even be like, you know what, but I really like the look of this. And I'm like, that's fine, we can totally do that. But I give them all of the data. But just being really straightforward and honest with people. And it's hard to be really straightforward and honest when you question your abilities or your product. Yes. So the biggest thing is get the experience. When you have the experience, if you are an honest person, an ethical person who wants to create and expand and help people, you're going to be the king of sales. That's just how it works. Every single person who's ever bought anything can spot a fox from a mile away. And some people even spot him and they say, well, he complimented me one time, so I'm going to go with him anyways, right? Which is just a poor decision. You don't really have like these sales tactics things that a lot of guys will say they have. Really, it's just get the experience, be honest. And that's about it, honestly. People can't respect that, at least to a certain extent, and even consider you, then that's just kind of silly.
Yeah, makes sense. So when you're creating a proposal for a client, do you lowball every other proposal that comes in? Because I'm sure there's competitors that are going against you, right?
Yeah.
So walk me through that process a little bit.
Yeah, I definitely do not. I don't battle with other contractors' quotes in any way, shape, or form. There's literally a part at the end of our contact form, the big long form at the beginning of the whole process, that literally says we do not take any part in competitive bidding with anybody else for any reason.
Oh, really?
And I don't want to see anybody else's quote. I don't care. I'm not going to move on the cost. Because again, I need to make what I need to make for the company, and that's it. And I need to pay my guys better than other people pay their workers. So a lot of these guys get paid nothing, or they're kind of just going around, not necessarily having their legal rudiments in or whatever, and they're just doing it however they do it. And same thing in general construction. These guys don't get paid very much. But essentially, I don't go above or below anybody else's quote. My cost is my cost. When it comes down to a very large scale project and they want to cut back or move things around, I can help them do that in a very, very large project. If they're like, look, get me down to this number, I might try to figure something out, and depending, but in almost all cases, I don't have any wiggle room. because I have to get you the product that you need, that I know you are gonna like the best and that's gonna last the longest. I have to get you that product. I will not do anything less than that. My guys will not do less than anything. If I underbid something and it's still the same item, install this deck right here, the guys are gonna go out of their way to make it perfect, and now I just lost money. And now the whole team and the owners and everybody just lost money because they're gonna do it right anyways. We say, Cody, we can't do it like that. Well, he needed to cut it off $5,000. Well, too bad, we're gonna do it right anyway. So it's kind of cool that they have, honestly, almost even a higher standard than I do in some cases. My own guys in the field, right?
Right.
Who you'd imagine are a lot of these guys in construction, they would rather cut corners, they would rather just kind of mess around and just not care that much, but they care a lot.
So for the audience watching, and maybe somebody starting from zero, how would you recommend they sell 600 grand in 3 months?
Yeah, so you're not going to immediately sell 600 grand in 3 months necessarily, depending on the industry, of course. But in more like high budget type projects and stuff like this, or type industries, I'd really say get as organized as possible as soon as possible. If you have zero experience, that's truly starting from scratch. If you have a high interest in something that you have zero experience in, honestly, go to school or something, or train under somebody or something like that. If you have like a little bit of experience, you kind of know what you're doing, you're kind of starting from nothing, I'd really say just get as organized as possible, get as efficient as possible. Efficiency is the most important thing in anything. I pride myself on efficiency in anything and every single thing that I do, honestly. And efficiency just means getting the most done with the limited amount of effort. And that doesn't mean be lazy. Try to only work 20 hours a week. Like, that's just silly, right? I should and could be working more and making more. It comes down to getting efficient. And how do you get efficient at something? You get really good at something, so then you can make it faster, right? If you have problems with using the internet or something, get somebody who can handle that for you. Get your Google Drive folders in line and organized. Every time you notice that something is taking too long or longer than it could or should, figure out a solution to make it go a little bit faster, right? And again, this doesn't mean rush everybody. This doesn't mean try to make it go fast so you don't have to do anything or make a robot take over, because the most important thing on selling somebody is the human aspect of it, right? And the trust aspect. Nobody's going to trust a robot. I send a drone over to somebody's house and measure it with a drone and say bye on the drone on a microphone. They're not going to trust that person. It really comes down to the simple things. Get a bunch of experience. Just do it, trial and error. Because I can tell somebody every step for a landscaping company, but for just a general, any type of company, you have to streamline things. You have to make things move quicker, get a little bit more automated, still keep the human aspect very much intact. People hate calling companies and then getting left on hold, and then you don't get a quote for 3 days or a month. All these different things that are a problem everywhere in the United States with all this laziness, especially since COVID, and all these excuses and all this crap that comes along with all these different companies. If you're just honest with people and you know what you're talking about, you don't need anything else. You don't need to have some sort of secret strategy. You don't need to provide discounts. Providing discounts to somebody makes you look weak 99% of the time, and a lot of the times the cheaper thing is not the better thing. You don't go to Louis Vuitton and expect to spend $30 on a bag. It just doesn't happen. You're gonna pay more for the better item, and that's the case. And if you believe in your product or your service or whatever it is, if you actually believe in it, you actually know what you're doing, just talk to the person like a human being. That's how you're gonna win.
All right. Thanks a lot, man, for the interview.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.